Ah, greetings and salutations once again, fellow YouTubers. Wildman23 visiting you from the stars once again into your cyber realm of YouTube. I want to talk about this time about my last video, my 7-part video about, of course, John Rambo and why John Rambo deserves a video game. I'm sure you remember for us YouTubers, but just for the YouTubers who are getting into the video game business and who are also Rambo fans, that I thought about us coming together on YouTube and come up for ideas for a Rambo video game. You know, share our ideas, storylines, and digital designs and everything, and talk about it on YouTube, brainstorm it. How can we develop it? I wasn't talking about, of course, creating the game all by ourselves. I was thinking about brainstorming and maybe sending or emailing our ideas, of course, to Lionsgate, which of course owns the rights to the Rambo franchise, whom also own the rights to Reservoir Dogs, and of course Reservoir Dogs went on to become a game. So anyway, since my my 7-part video aired on YouTube, I got a message from a YouTuber who wrote a message to me that he even wrote to IGN. I'm sure you're familiar with that site. And while they were talking about the Rocky game at the time, he wrote that message. It was about a few years ago, and then he saw my video and he decided to share that information with me of how the storyline would go for the Rambo game. And he said some interesting points. And he said he couldn't send me a video response, so that's why he sent a message, because I don't think he had the tools to give me a video response. But anyway, that's a good response besides a video response. Well, I'm not going to talk about his ideas yet. I might talk about it in my next video. Don't worry, I'm going to give it to you right away as soon as I talk about my latest idea for the Rambo game, which is, of course, this video is about. I'm sure last time while on my John Rambo Needs a Video Game video, 7-part video, I talked about making the John Rambo video game an epic action adventure game, which the first part of the game will be a prequel of how he started out in Vietnam and went all the way from the first movie to the 4th movie, John Rambo. That's the coolest thing about video games these days, because it kind of show you things that weren't in the movies. They explain more stuff that weren't in the movie. That's the best thing about when it comes to movies becoming video games. They explain more. They give you more detail. Okay, here's the point. I had a very cool chapter idea, and it takes place in the game. It takes place after the first chapter that you play, the First Blood, which is the first Rambo movie, and that is the chapter after the whole Vietnam prequel sequence in the game. After you play the First Blood level, the first movie, after that, I had thoughts about creating a story between the first movie and the second movie for the game that shows Rambo in prison. And of course, you've seen the second Rambo movie, Rambo First Blood Part 2, and of course the movie started out, picked up where the last movie ended up. The first movie, where he got arrested and was sent to prison. And the second movie started out with him busting rocks in a penitentiary, and of course his Colonel Trapman comes up to him and of course goes on his mission to rescue the POWs in Vietnam who are still held in Vietnam. But watching that scene when Rambo asks, "Why me?" That's how I got this idea. I was watching that scene. I remember that scene when Rambo was asking, "Why me? Why you want me for this mission?" And that was a tough question because, in the first movie, after all the trouble that he's caused destroying the whole town in First Blood, how could they possibly send Rambo on a mission? After all, has that trouble with post-traumatic stress of like other war veterans have had. So there's no way they could have trusted him to go on this mission unless he did something, a good deed, before all this occurred and after the first movie. Before they came to him for the mission and after the first movie, and that's where this idea came to me. That while Rambo was in prison, a riot in the prison breaks out, and the prisoners take all the guards hostage, take the whole prison hostage. They take over the prison, and they wanted demands for freedom, something like that. And Rambo, of course, tries to save the day. And I thought it was that's a cool idea. That's part of how his journey for redemption, because even Sly Stallone said himself that the second Rambo movie was about redemption, his journey to redemption. I thought this whole prison riot idea would be perfect. His only chance for redemption. And the cool thing is, it kind of sounds like that movie, of course, Con Air, which of course starred Nicolas Cage, John Cusack, and John Malkovich. And of course it has a storyline about Nicolas Cage, who plays like a Rambo type character, with long hair and the